Hi, my name is Marge, and I'm sitting here on my front porch. I was going to give you a tour today, but we got rained out. So I thought I'd maybe introduce myself and tell you a little bit about myself. Midge is actually a handle I picked up from the AOL days. Some of you remember that. You know, when you had to dial into the internet and pray that nobody would call and bump you off. AOL, yeah, that's a long forgotten thing. I live in eastern Iowa. From where I'm sitting here on my front porch, you can actually catch a glimpse of the Mississippi River through the trees. I've been gardening for some time now. We've lived here for a little over 20 years, and I've had some kind of flowers since then. Vegetable gardening has been a little slower to come, but I have gone from a few beds to some raised beds or quasi-raised beds to just dumping dirt in my yard and putting food in the ground. I'm going to give you a little tour of what I've got going on. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. Nice to meet you. So I'm going to start off showing you where I start my seeds, which happens to be in my living room. And yes, this is our Christmas tree, and yes, it is still up as of mid-March. Sue me. Anyway, this is where I start my seeds. It's in my living room. I have a little alcove, I guess you would call it, here. This is a 4-foot steel shelving unit, which works really great. Here are a lot of my lettuces. I just thinned these out last night because I have them fairly crowded in here. I was trying to do a thick sowing method like and my gardener does, and it works really great in here, but I don't think it's going to translate well out into the garden. I'm going to do some seeds out there as well, but this is the early start, so I think I might just do this and trim inside for like microgreens. These 4 here are lettuces. This 2 here are eggplants. And this one here is my okra. I'm going to attempt okra, even though I'm in the Midwest, and it's currently probably 3 or 4 weeks before my last frost, but I got okra started. I might have to start some more if I've started it too soon. In this tray, I have started artichokes, which I grew last year but didn't know what to do with. So I watched it grow and die, and this year I might actually do something with it. These are Roselle hibiscus. I'm looking forward to trying to make a tea out of this later on. And these are my greens. There's mustard greens, 2 kinds of mustard greens, some kale here on the end, and some collards right here. Those are to make all of my greens this year, which I really enjoy making. On this shelf down here, I have, they're called Pacino peppers. I have never had these before either, but they were on the seed exchange, the Super Duper Seed Swap that's on Instagram. I got these from there. And as I was planting them, you can see I put a little bit of parsley in there accidentally. The lights I'm using are, I don't know exactly what brand they are, but they are an LED shop light, 46 inches long, with that you can link them together, so that I've got 6 of them plugged in together here. And I can adjust the height with the chain right here to get them closer or farther away from the seedlings. I have quite a bit on here. I've already put 4 trays out on my front porch is where I harden things off. On my upper shelf here, I have started some herbs and some flowers. This here is lavender, this little row right here. These are little 6 trays that I planted in, and I've split up the different ones. So this is lavender, and this is marjoram, and I cooked lasagna last night and was really craving some fresh herbs, and I remembered I had these. And I also needed to thin them out, so I killed 2 birds with 1 stone last night. I made some wonderful lasagna with some fresh herbs and thinned out my seedlings all at the same time. I have got 2 kinds of oregano, which were too little to add to my herb mix last night. Yarrow, 4 different kinds of yarrow here. Bee balm, catnip, which that's going to be real fun considering I have 3 cats, and I'll have to show you my ingenious trick to try and keep them off of this whole shelving unit here. Some chamomile, fennel, a gaillardia flower for pollinators, pansies as well. My thyme, which I also thinned out last night. Savory, which again I thinned out a little bit. Sorrel, which obviously did not germinate, which was supposed to be in this row right here. And then some lavage. I'm going to be trying to do medicinals as well as culinary herbs. And just because I like to try some very difficult things, up here, I'm going to turn you around here. Up here is a pineapple. This pineapple is close to a year old. I really need to up pot it. I think that's why it's having problems getting any bigger right now. This one is another one, but it's only about 6 to maybe 8 months old, this pineapple. Let me bring it down so you can see it. I just transplanted it. Oh, it's starting to get little sprouts again. Pineapples take 2 years to produce fruit. They will, after about a year, throw off an offshoot that is another pineapple trying to start, so you can propagate more that way. We honeymooned in Hawaii, and tasting fresh pineapple was the bomb. I've never tasted pineapple that good since then. And having had that spoil, I was really trying to see if we could grow it here so we could have pineapple here. So I've got 2 plants going, one that's almost a year, but it really needs to be up potted. I got a lot of my information on pineapples, trying to at least start them, from M.I. Gardener on YouTube. He has a whole video on how to grow pineapples. So wish me luck. I've made it this far. Another thing that I'm also doing for my cats, besides the secret trick, and I'll show you that in a minute, is my cat grass. I originally ordered my first set of cat grass from a website called Renee's Garden. I was at my local nursery, and they had that next to the checkout there, just a little bag of cat grass, and I have 3 cats, like I said, and there's 2 of them that are 2 years old, but they still think they're itty bitty little kittens and like to get in and destroy everything. They decimated some of my seedlings last year, so this is trying to keep them from doing it again. These are probably about a month and a half old, and I'm going to have to replant it because, as you can see, they're already starting to brown and get a little ugly. But I do have 3 more over on the floor in front of my fireplace. One that looks almost worse than this, and the other 2 that look really, really fresh. And I planted those a lot thicker and a lot heavier, and it seems to be doing a little bit better. I just planted them. I went into Tyson's, which is one of our local farm goods stores, and these are just 5-quart seed pans, and that's what I grow them in. I did drill a couple holes in the bottom for drainage, and I water from the bottom on this, and this, like I said, is about a month or so to about 2 months old, actually, and they've really worked this over pretty good. So they're leaving me. This is Toothless. And just like any night fury, he likes to be seen when he likes to be seen. He's getting to be a little bit more friendly, but he's kind of our neurotic one. What I've also got on here is bird netting that you can get to put on your shrubs to drape over your shrubs, like when you have blueberries or stuff like that out there, to keep the birds from eating all your blueberries before you get a chance to get any. And what I've done is I've actually zip tied this around the outside, and on the bottom shelf I zip tied about every 3 or 4 inches so they can't come up from the bottom. And then I left the front part of this open so that all I have to do is bring it across and close it up so that it'll cover the whole front of the thing, because that's how close my couch is to my shelves. And if anybody has cats, you know it is not a far cry for them to go from there to there. As a matter of fact, my little gray one loves to still test and try and see how she can get in there. It's kind of hard to see, but this is what it looks like with the netting covering the front. And it does pretty good to keep the cats out. So far they haven't figured it out, knock on wood. It might even help deter little people, but my littlest people is 17 now, so she does pretty good with just stay out of there. I'm not sure though, because it can be very flimsy, and I have it unsecured in the front. If you have little people that you're trying to deter, I would think maybe you would try to figure out how to secure it along the front here so that they couldn't get caught up in it. And I've just got it dangling on the floor. My cats like to play with it down there. Next, I'm going to take you out onto my front porch where I harden all my seedlings off, and it kind of is my other catch-all area for gardening besides the garage. I've kind of got a little bit of a takeover of parts of my house and everything else for gardening and seedlings. Off to my porch. This is my front porch. I picked up one of these stands that you pick up for like 20 bucks, at least around here. And I've had it for a number of years, but the plastic that covers it just got so bad and so crinkled, and from being in the sun so much, that I finally just took it off and started using it to just without the cover, because I found that having the cover on it where I had it originally up in my upstairs bedroom, that it was just too hot because it was getting west sun at the end of the day, and I was using, I don't know if you can kind of see it right here, these lights with reflectors, but they were incandescent lights, so they were very, very hot, and I was getting in upwards of 85 plus degrees in my greenhouse and couldn't figure out why my poor little seedlings were so leggy and sad looking. But it was the heat, because then they were also inside of that, sitting in a west facing window. Oh my gosh, they just baked, the poor little things. So I figured out taking the cover off, they seem to do much, much better. And this year I did not use heat mats at all. Just simply ambient temperature in my house, which we keep the thermostat at 67 at the lowest, and depending on how cold I am, it can go up to about 73 sometime during the day. But yeah, these are my seedlings, and this is what they look like now. I'm getting ready to harden them off out to the yard. These are what you call the brassicas. These are the Brassicaceae family, which has your broccoli, your cauliflowers, Brussels sprouts. I have just a little bit of broccoli here. Let me tell you, this is the best I've ever had any broccoli ever look. They've been so spindly before and leggy. I'm just ecstatic that this actually looks like something that you can go to a nursery and get. I have two different kinds of cauliflower. I have what was supposed to be a real heat-hardy lettuce, spinach, and that overeager little fellow is already trying to bolt on me. So I'm not sure how heat-hardy it really is, because here in Iowa we can get up to 100 degrees with like 80% humidity, so maybe that was not the best one for me. I do have another spinach over there that I'm trying. These are cabbage, another Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and broccoli. On the other side over here, pull it out just a little bit. This is purple basil, purple opal basil is what this one is. I've got some parsley here. This is celery here. And then back in the corner there, I've got some mammoth basil, some more different kind of celery, and one lone little celeriac, which is more of a root vegetable that tastes like celery. I'm really eager to try it. One of the things I really like are to grow things that are perennial and will go for the distance. So I guess you can kind of call it lazy gardening a little bit, because if I have a perennial, that's just a little less yearly management for me, you know, other than pruning or making sure that I mulch it or something like that. But I really am interested in pawpaws as well, and I have a few trees out back, which I'll show you, but I'm trying to start some more here. I came across somebody who had some that they were getting out of Canada, which would be real cold hardy, and being in Iowa, which is the upper Midwest, we can have some pretty cool winters. So and the shade of my yard, so between the cool winters and cold hardy and then shade, because these are an understory type of plant, they like to grow in shade rather than being in full sun and stuff. So when they're younger, you actually have to protect them from the sun so that they don't burn out on you. Like I said, I've got 3 trees out back that, when it's not raining, it'll take you out so you can see, but I'm going to try and grow more. There's 15 seeds in this little bucket right here. So right next to that, are the onion starts that I did this year, which I tried to do a little differently than I did last year. Last year I started them in 2-inch seed blocks, which was only a couple seeds per block. And then I happened to run across a YouTube on video. Happened to run across a video on YouTube by M. Gardner about growing your seedlings a little bit more en masse here. And the onions are one of those things that you can do that with. The reason I have so many onions, my husband loves onions, so we're looking to find things that we can grow and have more of a sweeter onion during the year, and then also for storage so that we can cut down on that bill a little bit, because his favorite is Vidalias. Well, actually his favorite is a Walla Walla, which we can only find in the store in like northern Minnesota when we go on vacation. And so Vidalias are what we can get around here. So I'm looking to find something along that line. Vidalia I think is a Spanish sweet as well. But trying different onions to see what his culinary taste is good for. So that's why I have so many. Last year, like I said, I started them in 2-inch seed blocks, and they did okay. We had so much rain last year in our spring that I didn't get them out until really late. And onions are a little finicky because they deal a lot with daylight hours. You've got your long day and your short day and your intermediates. And we have to have long day here. So these are all long day, and hopefully I can get them out in the next week or two to definitely get them in the yard and going, because we are really ready to start having onions. They're so pretty. I've already had to give them a haircut once, and they now have second leaves going, and I might have to give them another haircut before I actually get them in the ground. Having them flopping over is really not the best, but they are looking so good. Like I said, my porch is kind of a catch-all for some of my gardening stuff. So, you know, I've got, this is a pot with cherry pits in it that I saved from last year. So we'll see how well that turns out. And then down here, this is my up-purposing of thrift store finds to, I'm going to be making like water baths kind of thing, so that there's enough water for the birds so they don't eat my tomatoes and other fruits, because that's kind of why the animals take and eat your fruits, is because they need water. So I have got underneath here, down on the bottom, it's kind of tucked way back in there, but just kind of big bowls that I've been finding at different thrift stores that I'm going to just put out throughout the yard to do some little water collecting, so that there's like bird baths throughout the yard. So hopefully that I won't have birds eating my tomatoes and strawberries, because I've got, oh my gosh, wait till you see my strawberries. If anybody is in the eastern Iowa wants strawberries, let me know. I've got a bunch of June-bearing strawberries that I'm going to either end up composting or giving away, because there are so many of them out there. But birds will come in and just take bites to get juice, or just to get water. And then you'll have a half-eaten strawberry, which is no good. So I'm hoping to, I made 2 last year, which I put amongst my tomatoes and my grapes. And hopefully I'm going to make more this year, so I can have them scattered about a little bit more, and maybe save my strawberries from being half-eaten. This is Elsa. She has to be everywhere I'm at, because she is just that kind of a little bit of a brat. She thinks she's missing out on something if she's not constantly by me. Elsa. Hi, pretty girl. She's missing sitting here out on the porch with me, the windows open, listening to the birds chirp, barking at all the dogs that walk by, because she doesn't know how to be nice and Say hello politely. This is our dog Elsa. Oh, yep, one of the neighbors.